How's it going?
Okay, guys, coach is here. We'll just start with questions if you want, coach.
Sure. Anything related to UConn men's basketball? Let's go.
Okay. Joe Zone, why don't you start us off?
All right, thank you, Dan. Hope you're having a great summer.
You too, Joe.
Fantastic. How much of an impact does coaching a player up to a high draft pick have on recruiting?
I certainly think it helps. It's certainly, it's one thing, I think, when a player, comes into a program and he's, already preordained as the number one pick or a top 5 pick. He's on a campus for, several months and then leaves as a top 5 pick. That's, I'm not sure, how much player development actually goes on there. So I think obviously with a situation like James, when you talk about your player development, what we try to do at UConn in terms of a 11-month a year commitment to helping our players get to their highest level. He's certainly the poster child. He's not the only example we have of player development, but we've had a lot of guys improve their stock, since we've been here, but James is the poster child. And I don't think there's a recruit that we've gotten since James has been here that James didn't impact in some way, whether that was, Andre Jackson, seeing him on the visit, Jordan Hawkins, watching him, Rasul, players were recruiting in 22, 23 and beyond. James's impact will be felt for a long time.
Thank you.
Gavin?
Hey, Dan, how's it going?
Gavin, good, man. How you doing?
Great. So obviously you worked with James since day one he shows up. And so what's it going to be like for you to see a player be taken as probably as a lottery pick in the draft after, being with them and working with them to this point?
Yeah. Be one of my, proudest moments as a coach. It's right up there with, with winning championships at Rhode Island or, graduating players, seeing them succeed professionally, but just, understanding what this potentially means for James and his family and future generations of James's family. The impact that this has on so many people. It's humbling and definitely going to be emotional.
And just he mentioned yesterday about, how you kind of helped him and how the staff helped him become a real man. And you do a lot of different things with your program. Is that all part of the package?
Yeah, I mean, we take a holistic approach with our players, and their growth, all around as people, their maturity, and the development as thinkers, and as well-rounded people is going to make them better players and more successful people. And I just think that it was like it was the really smart thing, I think, with James's family, and the people that were advising James in high school, that they understood, that James had an incredible amount of talent and gifts and tremendous, he's a tremendous competitor, and the guy's a real dog. But I think that, everyone knew that he needed the type of coaching staff that would hold him accountable every single day, that would be present with him every single day, because they knew that he needed that type of coaching to be able to show, people in the basketball world just how special the talent is.
Thanks.
So we fit each other perfectly. We needed James's talent, and James needed our structure and accountability. It was a perfect partnership.
Dave?
Dan, can you think of a comp for James, whether it's, maybe a current NBA player or just past player or anyone you ever coached or played against? Or is he kind of, he even said yesterday, he feels he's kind of unique. Can you make any comparisons to any other players with him? What kind of career you think he might have similar?
Yeah, I think in terms of like production, I could see him having, even though he's not the same type of player by any stretch in terms of the way they play guard, but I could see James having a CJ McCollum type of career. I think James has all-star potential as an NBA player. I think that he's such a different type of guard, and the NBA has changed so much. He's got such a unique talent because he's explosive. He could score at all three levels. He's a dynamic one-on-one player, and he makes incredibly difficult shots, which is what the NBA becomes about. Like winning matchups and winning one-on-ones because you get a chance to play in space with the defensive rules. But I think he's got a chance to have, in terms of like the type of career, I could see him having a CJ McCollum type of career, even though he's not the same type of player.
Roger?
A lot of the pre-draft stuff that I'm reading about him said that he had just a sensational pro day / combine. Have you gotten a lot of feedback from NBA teams since then? What did they see in him that they love even more now?
Yeah, we've been talking to these teams obviously since probably the end of James's freshman year, midway through his freshman year, end of his freshman year. When James would have been a late first round pick, got picked somewhere in the mid-20s if he would have left after his freshman year. And then James became a lottery pick. I think James became a lottery pick when he dropped 40 in his second Big East game during a crazy COVID season. I think James at that point really was elevating his stock through the early part of the year, and then he's moved up in the lottery. With the way he's, not just his pro day, I think just when teams meet him and they watch how hard he gets after it on the practice floor, and then when you spend time around him, he's very charismatic. He's very engaging. He has that star type of quality, that it factor. Listen, he shot 35% from three as a freshman. It dipped to 30 this year during a COVID season where, he had elbow surgery. So, you take those numbers with a grain of salt, and you just, really smart basketball people will look at his shooting mechanics, and his free throw percentages, and understand that the guy's going to make, he's going to make threes at the NBA level.
Sean?
Hey, Dan, just, in terms of the way teams develop players, in terms of the way teams play, and what you know about James and him as a player and as a person, what type of team, what type of landing spot do you think is ideal for him when you factor in play style, the way coaching staffs work, and what you know about James?
Yeah, I think it's important for James. James wants to be coached. James wants to be in, in a very professional, culture. He wants to play, with other players that have, tremendous passion for basketball, that are very, very competitive, that want to, compete for a championship. So, I just hope that, James gets, drafted by an organization that isn't afraid to coach their players, and, that just has a strong accountability in their culture in terms of, professionalism.
Guys, we're not just limiting this to James. If you guys have any questions about updates on the team and stuff, go ahead. That's
Yeah,
what
the guys are down on the court shooting.
Go ahead, Wayne.
Well, I'll stick with James. Hi, Dan.
Hey,
Uh,
Wayne.
from the time he first walked onto campus to the time now, where did he improve the most? How did he get better? In what area?
Yeah, I would say just, his ability to, just do more things with the basketball. He kind of came in, as a guy that would only handle the ball in short bursts. He played more prototypically like shooting guard, maybe in prep school and AAU. His usage rate, increased significantly here with the way that we use our guards, but significant, specifically James, though. We put the ball in his hand in so many different ways, whether it was taking it in transition, off the defensive glass, or just with our closest guard getting to the outlet, or just in ball screens or dribble handoffs or passing gets or running them off a stagger or a flare. I mean, we just used them in so many different ways that, it put a lot of stress on his game to develop. So I don't think that there's, I think that was like a great opportunity for James just to expand his game as a guard that was used to having the ball in his hands a lot more than he did coming in.
Hey, Dan, first of all, is there any health issues with the team? Is everyone healthy and practicing as expected at this point?
Yeah, I mean, we've had, we've been blessed to get 6 weeks in with the team, and a lot of great live work with them. And I don't think we've had a guy miss a practice in those 6 weeks, where these guys are getting off this week. Obviously, we've got to hit the road recruiting here, and then we've got Thursday with we're focused on James, and then we're going to finish up with 2 strong weeks before we get another break, and then it's showtime in September.
Do you anticipate? Is there any possibility of anyone joining your program before next season at this point, or are you pretty set on the players you have, and that's not even on the table?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't discount that at this point. But, it obviously would be, a tough thing to do, with somebody that, hasn't graduated from high school yet. But we do have tremendous flexibility, with, bringing back so many players, and, where we, I think, bringing in 1 or 2 guys, if somebody, people that would be willing to sit out, though, Dom, is the critical thing, because with this team that we have returning, I have no more minutes for anybody. It's going to be a war for roles and for minutes with this team. So I don't need any more guys in here that are going to be looking at me to put them in the game.
Roger?
So red shirts only.
I'm Andre looked last week like a player who's ready to take that next step. Just in everything he said, he sounds so mature and like he's made progress. Can you see that on the court?
Yeah, I mean, he is. I mean, it was he had a rough freshman year with the injuries and COVID and everything that went on. Really sidetracked him. But he's had a great summer. I think he's got a much better plan of how he needs to attack things on the court. Both offensively and defensively. And just the 6 weeks with him and all these guys, but Andre in particular, he's got a great plan of attack of how he wants to go about things, and he looks great.
Sean?
A few of the guys, I know Tyrese has, and I think Jalen Gaffney said it too, but a big step in their development and improving is on the mental side. And I know they said you've had them reading books and you've been preaching meditation, but I guess how have you, taken efforts on that end to improve the mental and confidence side of some of these guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's your daily practices from when you wake up, with your nutrition and your sleep, what you listen to, what you read, and then also the other resources that we provide, whether it's the Headspace app for these guys to do the meditation, or the professionals that we bring into their lives, in terms of mental skills coaches, guys like Maurice Claret, or the different former players or speakers that we bring in to help mentor these guys about just how important mindset is and how it's something you got to work on every single day. And obviously players had an incredible example of that with Giannis and what he did in the playoffs, and the different sound bites that you get from certain athletes today that do a great job of expressing that side of it.
How have you seen, I know it's only been 6 weeks since they got back, but have you seen the guys, the mental side improve much in that short span?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the older players, in particular, with RJ and Tyler and Isaiah, just the guys that have been through the games that have that have a lot of evidence in their career of success and playing well and winning significant games last year to become an at-large team for the first time in a couple of years here. There's a certain level of confidence that a group gets when they when they've had a successful season. And when you're a player that's had really great moments in a successful season, you come into that next season with a lot more confidence, because there's actual evidence, as opposed to you just telling yourself that you're a good player. It's hard to believe it unless you have evidence. And we're lucky that we're in a situation now where we've got some players that have evidence of success.
Ken Davis?
Hey, Dan, thanks for doing this.
You got it, Ken.
As you transition away from James, it's obvious when you have a guy dominant like that he's kind of perceived as the leader. In conversations with RJ and Jalen, they both are talking a lot about wanting to pick up that leadership role. Is it important to have one guy, or are you looking at, you mentioned the older players, do you look for leadership from all of them?
I think, the type of culture that we try to create is, we want to have, a team filled with, with people that are saying and doing the right things. Is everyone going to be like really, really vocal in the circle or in the locker room? probably leave that to guys with the type of personality. And RJ and Isaiah, I think, has gained more confidence in who he is since he's been here, to speak up. You hope that Tyrese, and going into year 2 as a guy that's accomplished some things, will use his voice more. But yeah, I think it's more of you got to come in with the right type of personality to be the spokesman. And, that's going to be RJ, maybe an Andre Jackson, potentially down the road, a Russell Diggins. Hopefully even an Adama. Adama, we expect to be, a great player for us sooner rather than later. And great players have to lead.
When James was out with his injury last year, was RJ the guy that kind of jumped into that?
I think he developed into it. I think he developed. RJ was. I think RJ at that time when James went out was still, making the adjustment to playing at UConn after sitting out a year. Obviously RJ had a great track record, but he was adjusting, to a different level of college basketball. So I think I don't want to say he didn't have the time dealing with everything we were dealing with, and his own adjustment to be the leader that we probably hoped he'd be. But that's what we're getting now is a guy that has, I think, supreme confidence in his ability to elevate his game, plus a guy that understands that this has to be his team with the absence of James.
Thanks, Dan.
You got it.
K-Mac?
Dan, how are you?
Let's go, K-Mac. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, good. I first of all, I hope you get the wife to the beach one day. Is that possible in August? Like one day? I know you love the beach.
Yes, a little bit. I'm going to get to Jersey Shore. Definitely in August. Some after this we're going to go hard here for a couple of weeks. I'm going to get to Seagirt in August, but then also too, hopefully sneak over to Matunic Oyster Bar. Point two.
Was there Sunday? They'll be ready for you, I'm sure.
Yes, Perry.
Hey, curious, big world question. I understand that on the recruiting trail, besides watching guys and whatnot, huge talk about NIL, NLI, whatever the heck it's called. I'm curious where you guys are on that. I think of the Big East schools, you have the potential to be as productive as anyone. Do you talk to the guys about it every day? Do you talk about it, just with your stars? Do you have someone on your staff who's totally clued into that? Just curious what you're thinking on that front.
Yeah, I think, Kev, I think all the above. I think right now we're kind of hearing things. It was kind of the recruiting period came at a good time because we're able to get on the road and kind of get a sense of what's going on in some other programs. Just some kind of different ideas that you hear. Obviously, we're only allowed to be involved to a small extent in terms of advising players. To think of themselves like entrepreneurs in a way, read more business books and more on marketing, and just try to give them a sense on I guess on what's going on. And relative to UConn, I mean, a state like this that is so that doesn't that only has the one professional sports team with the WNBA, but to be in a market like this with no professional sports, you would think that UConn basketball and players will have a lot of great opportunities with it.
Great, thank you.
You got it,
Kevin?
Hey, Dan, what kind of impact did last year's success, getting back to the tournament, is it having on recruiting? Have you seen a little bump off of that?
No, it helps a lot. I mean, I mean, once you get past, a quality education and resources and conference and all these different factors, distance from home, stuff like that. Like in the end, I mean, it comes down to like three things, right? Like kids want to play, right? They want to get on the court and they want to play and they want to win and they want to be developed. They want to have their best chance to get to the NBA. So, I mean, for us, I think, the end of year two, we put ourselves in a position where we had as good a chance as any team in our conference to win that conference tournament, potentially, get to the NCAA tournament, at the end of year two. Year three, we get to the tournament, and we're putting a guy, in the NBA lottery, potentially in the top 10, that when he came to school here, was undervalued and wasn't on the top 100 of draft boards. So, we've shown that you'll win here, and we're shown that we'll, if you have NBA talent, we can develop you and get you there on a pretty fast track. And that's resonated with people in recruiting.
Thanks.
Couple more, Neil.
Dan, never say never, but are you kind of happy that you and the school itself is not involved thickly in conference realignment talk and having to worry about what might happen and where you might go and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, DB stopped through here yesterday. I kind of I brought it up, and we had a laugh about it. Yeah, I mean, it feels great to be where we are right now. I tell you that. And listen, I think we were obviously, great for the Big East this year too. Bringing an extra at-large team, in a year where we got 4 in our first year back in the league. We were one of the 3 at-larges that we got, and and we're going to have potentially a top 10 pick, which is really good for the league. So, we've done pretty good for the Big East this year.
Back to you, Joe.
Yes, Dan, back to the nil question. Have you specifically yet had a recruit or their parents or a representative ask you, what kind of money can I make if I come to UConn?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And listen, that there's, yes.
Okay.
I don't even know how to, I mean, what we're not going to get in the business, listen, everyone has a reputation in recruiting. We will never inflate numbers to a potential recruit about what they could potentially do in NIL to try to secure their services, which, is something that, I think potentially, you're going to see. I think we're going to be very, very, we're going to attract kids here that want to be part of one of the great brands in all of college basketball, that want to be part of a program that is striving for its 5th national championship, that want to be developed by a great group of coaches that want to help them absolutely maximize their career as professionals. And we'll put them in the absolute best position that we can to take advantage of the NIL here at UConn. But I'm not going to get into the business, which you're obviously going to see, from programs, where that goes on. That's not who I am.
Any other questions? Roger, last one.
And James gave you that go-to star quality player the last couple of years. Is there somebody you see right now emerging in that role for this team?
I mean, listen, the hard thing with James, there's not many players in the country like James. You know, I mean, you're talking about a guy who is a star, you know, and a guy who, if he doesn't get hurt this year, you know, maybe puts up, I don't want to say a John Morant type of season, but I mean, who knows what that guy would have done, you know, if he's not dealing with COVID, a COVID year, if he's not dealing with the injury. And like, there's not many programs in the country, there's not many players in the country that are like James. And, you know, and you can't replace a star like that with just somebody else. But we've got, what we do have though, is a number of really, really good players that, you know, could probably get us between, you know, we probably have 7, 8, 9, potentially even 10 guys that could get us somewhere between like 7 and 14 or 15 a game. You know, which is very similar to what I had at Rhode Island, in some of my great teams there, where we had such tremendous balance and so many different types of, so many different people could beat you on any given night that we were very, very hard to prepare for. You know, so the strength of this team is going to be the balance. I think we're gonna have a couple guys that go from 12 a game to 14, 15 a game. But then we're going to have a number of guys that are going to be living in that like 7 to 11 range too, that it's just going to make us really, really hard to deal with. Add to that, you know, an elite, hopefully an elite defense, you know, an airtight culture. And, you know, you're a formidable program. There are guys, I mean, I think we've got young guys that have NBA talent, just like James. You know, whether you're talking about some of these freshmen that we've brought in, or, you know, Adama or Dre, but I mean, you know, like we've got a very, very deep, very, very mature team.
Any other questions, guys? I see no hands raised. We're all set? Okay, thanks a lot, Coach.
Great
Thank
seeing
you,
everybody
Dan.
again.
Great
Thank you.
stuff. Thanks.
Next time in person, right, Phil?
Next time in person, absolutely.
Okay. Later, everybody.
Take care, guys.